Hey, what's up? It's Mark, and here are 3 foods destroying your gut health. You feed your gut bugs every day by feeding them good quality foods or crappy food choices, and your body's going to respond differently to 2 of those food groups. So what I'm going to outline for you today, I guess, is the top 3 foods that I see just driving people nuts when they come to me with gut issues. Food number 1 is dairy. Most human beings are lactose intolerant, meaning they can't digest the sugar contained in milk. Okay? That's going to cause a lot of loose, watery bowel movements, pain, irritation. Sometimes it can cause a little bit of that, like, oh my God, I have that urgency to go to the bathroom. Nasty for people that have lactose intolerance. If you don't have lactose intolerance, that's good. However, milk is still one of those foods that can create a lot of mucus if it's not properly digested inside of the body. And imagine just mucus is kind of like inflammatory reaction, right? Just kind of keeps your system on edge. So inflammation is what we're trying to avoid inside of the gut. And dairy is one of those inflaming type of foods. So if you don't need to eat it, then don't. Number 2 is going to be alcohol. Alcohol is going to be nasty on your system. Alcohol is going to be one of those things that slows down the digestive process, leads to sluggishness of the bowel, leads to bloating, leads to gas in some cases. And also remember, alcohol has yeast in it. And how do you make alcohol inside of the big containers? You take some kind of fiber or starch and you combine it with a bug. So it's called Saccharomyces. And you add those 2 together. And as the bugs start to eat the sugars inside of the product, you start to create and ferment alcohol. Well, you can create and ferment alcohol inside of your belly. Consuming too much sugar can also create this same environment if you have yeast living inside of your gut. So having a yeast inside of your gut and having alcohol in combination can sometimes exacerbate some of those symptoms. So yeast overgrowth is one of those problems that we see very commonly with people that have like a white coated tongue, chronic ear congestion, kind of congestion in their nose. Some people have vaginal yeast infections, or you can have really itchy bum. All those things are signs that yeast is brewing inside of your body, and sugar is and alcohol is usually the culprit to those 2 together. So if you don't need to be consuming alcohol, then don't. Doesn't mean you can't ever, but you know what? If you do, you probably should expect your bowel to be a little bit off a couple of days after you've consumed it. Pretty simple, right? And the third one that's just driving your body absolutely nuts is going to be grain and gluten. Gluten-free is not a fad. It's a real thing. Now, listen, there's a definite difference between a celiac and someone that's just not doesn't do very well with breads in general. There's a huge difference in between. So when I say not to consume a whole lot of wheat products, I don't mean follow 100% celiac kind of lifestyle. If you need to do that, then great. But bread, and why it's one of those things that just drives so many people crazy, is bread is one of those things that, well, it has a lot of ingredients that just, again, create inflammation. It's a fiber, but the fiber type that it feeds is those unfriendly, unwanted types of bacteria inside of your gut. So the more that we consume those, the more that we kind of, again, further that teeter-totter to tip. And that's going to start creating a symptom at some point once the teeter-totter breaks. Now, for some people, that teeter-totter breaks at this much. Other people, it needs to break that much. It's completely dependent on your tolerance point inside of your belly. But wheat is one of those foods that, unfortunately, it has an ingredient in it sprayed on the crop called Roundup. And Roundup is registered as an antibiotic. So basically, consuming a whole bunch of those foods is imbalancing your gut bugs by taking a small dose of antibiotic compound almost daily. So if you don't need to be consuming gluten, fine. Here's another caveat. Gluten-free does not mean good for you. The additives, the preservatives, the changes that need to be made to make a gluten-free product taste good sometimes aren't worth it either. So what I teach my clients to do is create and frame a lifestyle that doesn't need bread involved. One of the plans I use to do that is a paleo-style diet plan. Paleo-style diet plan is going to basically mean think of you are a scavenger, right? So think about you and I are going hunting. We're going to eat fruits and roots and berries and whatever we can find on the ground until we kind of can get our animal to eat. So what the Paleolithic or paleo-style diet plan tends to do is kind of teach you to eat real foods that you can get on the perimeters of the grocery store and help you create a menu plan that's really going to help satisfy getting rid of some of those processed, refined, crappy foods and start actually fueling your body with the proper foods to help you feel better. So those are the 3 foods destroying your gut. Sugar, alcohol, and the gluten is driving you nuts. Along with the dairy. Anyway, have a fantastic day. Hope to see you soon. Bye.